are live. Today we've got a great topic. We're going to be talking about weight loss versus fat loss, how to understand body composition, and how to transform your body the right way. The reason I wanted to talk about this is because they are very, very different. So when people think weight loss, what they don't realize is that that's total body weight. So you're not just losing fat, you're losing water, you're losing muscle mass along with that. Whereas fat loss is actually targeting and losing body fat while maintaining or building muscle. So we want to kind of dive into this and talk about body composition, including things like how your clothes actually fit and what you see rather than just the number on the scale, to hopefully help just inform everybody a little bit more on what it means to change your body composition, what fat loss is rather than weight loss, and then hopefully steer you in the right direction with your goals. So the first thing I'll say is the two most common fitness terms that everybody hears is most people want to be lean or toned. So when people say they want to be lean and toned, but they don't want to be bulky or they don't want to have a bunch of muscle, what they don't realize is that lean toned look is simply dropping body fat percentage while building muscle mass. Your muscle has to be there to protrude and show definition. So you have to build muscle in order to have the lean toned look. So just to kind of clarify on that, that's what body composition change would be. So let's say, for example, DeLorean was 5'10" and he was 250 pounds and, maybe not 250. Let's go 200 pounds, but he's 25% body fat. Right? And so he wants to look lean and toned. He could still weigh 200 pounds, put on, 10 pounds of muscle, drop down to 15% body fat instead of 25 or maybe 12%, and he would look a whole lot leaner, way more toned without even dropping any body weight necessarily. Mm-hmm. So I'll throw up some example pictures later on too. But
a visual way to think about this is if you take a golf ball, for example. So that represents your muscle. If you don't have a lot of muscle, if you put it in your hand can cover the entire golf ball. So you don't see the golf ball or the muscle in this case. It's being covered by the amount of fat you have. So even if you just increase your muscle, say, okay, imagine now it's the size of a softball or baseball, then that fat spreads out around the muscle, so then it actually shows through more. So you actually see the muscle definition more because it's pushing the fat around. So even if your fat level doesn't change, your body composition can change. You can still look different.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Very good point.
Yeah.
Yep. A couple other terms we could go into if you want to go into bulking and cutting.
Yes.
Skinny fat.
Yeah.
Another common one.
So bulking and cutting, it describes the phase of training and diet that you're in, and for what goals you have for your body. And so bulking, the goal is to add muscle while minimizing the fat gain, which there's also comes into play the clean bulking versus the dirty bulking, which dirty bulking is pointless, where you eat a bunch of random junk to gain weight fast, but most of it ends up being fat anyways, and so then you got to lose it all again. And then there's the clean bulking or lean bulking, where you're in a very slight surplus and slowly gaining body weight, but that also allows you to minimize any body fat gain and maximize whatever muscle or whatever weight is put on as muscle. And then the cutting explains you're focusing on cutting fat. So you're focusing on cutting down calories a little bit. You're in a calorie deficit, still training, maybe increasing your steps or your cardio just a little bit, but nothing too excessive. Still doing resistance training to maintain your muscle mass. But the cutting, that phase, you would want to lose no more than about 10% of your body weight. And then we can go into rates of loss later with that. But that's the bulking and the cutting.
Yep.
And then the skinny fat is having a low body weight or a healthy BMI if you go into the doctor. But then you have a high body fat percentage because you have low muscle mass. So even if your weight is considered healthy, your body composition might not be considered healthy.
Yep.
So that's where it's like you're a healthy weight but unhealthy.
Yeah. A lot of people experience that. I hear this a lot anyways, when people lose weight rapidly and they get down to a healthier weight, but then they have all this like, skinny fat, like they have no definitions because they lost that muscle. So they need to build muscle so that it protrudes and fills out and gives you the tone lean look, essentially. So you want to go in anything else on that part of it?
Just a key takeaway for that is that, weight loss specifically can be misleading because just because the number on the scale isn't going down doesn't mean you're healthier or leaner.
Yeah.
So just being careful of that. If you're going too aggressive, then you can actually be eating less healthy or not as lean. If you're going too aggressive, because then you have the risk of losing muscle mass too.
Yeah. So we can go into kind of strategies for improving body composition. So obviously, if you're looking to look more toned and lean and change your body composition, we talk about it all the time. You've got to incorporate strength training. So strength training will build muscle mass, which will actually boost metabolism, and you'll burn more calories in a day. So it actually makes keeping body fat off easier because you'll burn more calories. It'll improve your overall strength and functionality as well. Just another kind of side bonus with that. So focus on strength training with compound movements. We do a lot of functional strength training, accessory work. We do functional conditioning even too with our metabolic conditioning. You're getting some strength in there. And then progressive overload is another like tip in here. So if you do start strength training, you can't just do the same exact routine like month after month, year after year. You've got to make gradual increases. I just had you actually build out a program for like a beginner program, and every 4 weeks we made small tweaks. So give a couple examples on like what we mean by increasing the volume, sets, reps, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the sets and the reps change as the program advances, and so you might be going less weight, more reps, less reps, more weight, depending on where you're at in that programming. And the more advanced you get, the more you're going to be able to lift a little bit heavier, and you're going to be comfortable with that weight. And then we actually start to advance the exercises themselves a little bit more as well, introducing different equipment and movements that this program builds you up to as it moves on.
Yeah. So for example, for 4 weeks, you might do a few different movements for 3 sets of 10. And then for the next 4 weeks, maybe you go up to 3 sets of 12 or 3 sets of 15. Or we might do 4 sets of 10. So we're adding an additional set to get more volume in. Or you could do both. Obviously, you could also just increase the weight. So maybe you're still doing 3 by 10, but hey, let's go up 10 pounds on everything. So those are different examples of how you can change the volume of your training just to make sure you're progressing.
Or you can change from a goblet squat holding a dumbbell in front of you in your hands to a barbell squat to a box. So you have the bar on your back squatting to a box. And then maybe you advance, you take the box away for the next step.
And then the load increases as well, which increases the volume. Yep. Provides different stimulus. And obviously, nutrition is the biggest factor. Bethany, you want to touch on that?
Oh, I'd be happy to. So biggest thing for nutrition when you're focusing on body composition is protein. Protein's king. You want to aim for, honestly, even just 0.7 grams per pound of body weight. It's like the minimum amount. You can go up a little bit higher, but beyond that, it's really just personal preference. Which if you're not there yet, that's fine. You can build up to it or work towards that. The key with the protein is that it helps to preserve your muscle mass, but it's also very satiating. So it doesn't make you like you're fuller for longer if you eat a high protein meal versus if you didn't have protein in that meal. And then it also has a higher thermic effect of food. So it actually takes more calories to break down the protein. So you burn more calories just by digesting your food and having to chew it and all that fun stuff. So protein is huge. Make sure you're getting in enough protein.
Just as an example, before you move forward, like if you are 200 pounds and you want to try to figure out how much protein you need, like she said, about 0.7 grams per pound of body weight.
Mhm.
So that'd be about 140 grams of protein in a day.
Yeah.
So just wanted to kind of do the math so people understand.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what would nutrition look like for somebody who, let's say, has the amount of muscle that they want to have above average, but they have a little bit more body fat, higher body fat percentage that they want to have? So what does their nutrition look like?
Protein is
training
going to be
look
the
like?
same across the board.
Mhm.
The biggest thing that they're just going to be changing is your calories.
Mhm.
So if you want to lose the body fat but maintain your muscle, then you want to go about 10 to 20% below your maintenance calories. So say if your maintenance calories are 2,000 a day, which you can figure out, I wouldn't use an online calculator, those are highly inaccurate. The best way to figure it out is to track what you eat for a week or two. And there's so many calorie tracking apps that'll tell you exactly what your like calorie maintenance is just by adding in the data, adding in your weight and the calories that you use, that you track, and then putting 10 to 20% below that. So 10% of 2,000 calories, it's 200 calories. So it's a very slight deficit. Or you can go, 400 calories, and that slight below maintenance is going to allow you to maintain the muscle while losing body fat. But that's where it comes in, where you're not focusing on the scale going down, because even just doing 200 calories a day deficit, that's only about a half pound a week. And so with the water weight fluctuations, it can look like you're not having any progress for a while. But over 12 weeks, you're going to maintain your muscle mass, or sometimes even grow it, depending on where you're at, and then lose the body fat. And depending, if this individual has a lot of muscle mass, their maintenance calories might be 3,000. So everybody's different based on your lifestyle, how much you move, how much muscle mass you have, your age, whether you're male or female, all those different things, which is where the tracking and all that comes in to get a good baseline. So just having like a nice moderate deficit before you're below your maintenance calories.
Yep.
If it's any more extreme than that, it can lead to muscle loss, low energy, and unsustainable results.
Yeah. So, for example, when we do a body scan and we get an idea of what somebody's BMR is, their basal metabolic rate, I usually always tell every client, hey, try not to go below this number, because when you go below that number, that's where you're going to start to slow the metabolism down. You're potentially going to lose more muscle mass, basically just because your body's not getting the amount of nutrition it needs or fuel it needs. Is that that's where what you mean by going too restrictive?
Yeah.
Eating way under what you would need to burn in a day.
Kind of got to draw the line there, I think.
Yeah, which the BMR is also inaccurate too.
Okay.
And this can be inaccurate for people that have lost a bunch of weight already, or they've done lots of diets before.
Why is it inaccurate?
Because it's just an equation, and our bodies are a lot more complex than a math equation.
Right.
Like if it was as easy as, okay, I'm going to do this many calories and I'm going to lose this amount of weight in this amount of time, it's not that simple. Like
Right.
your body.
So what do we use instead of it?
Like
Just
I said,
play
you
it by
track.
feel.
So you track
Or,
your food in a calorie tracking app. Like, Macro Factor is great because it actually calculates what your maintenance calories are. So what calories you need to eat every day on average to maintain your body weight. So if you put your weight in there and you put what you eat in a day, everything, all the oils, sauces, cream in your coffee, every last thing that you put in there that's got calories in it, it will give you the most accurate number, way more accurate than any calculator out there.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have a number to go off of, and you're like, oh, I thought according to this calculator, said I can eat 2,700 calories and maintain my weight, but actually doing it this way, tracking, it shows that it's 2,500 calories. Okay. And that's, it's just based on individual differences. There's genetic differences that play into it. And so instead of trying to factor in for genetic differences, your activity levels, all these different things, if you just track what you eat and track your body weight for a week, you can get that number, and then you'll know, it's like, oh, okay, this is what my number actually is based on my own data. So
Right.
That's what
That's
I'm
what I
gonna
was
say
actually
the
gonna
most.
ask, was like how long somebody should do that to get the most accurate, like a week or two.
A week or two. Yeah. I mean, if you're pretty
But it's
accurate
got to
with
be
it,
everything
it's got to be
that they
everything.
To the
eat
T.
and drink.
Any lick of peanut butter, any oil that you use in cooking, all that kind of stuff.
So you put your weight in every day.
Ideally, I mean, at least if you can get 4 out of 7 days of the week where you're logging your weight and your food, then it'll give you estimates based on whatever you log.
I'm gonna do that.
That's probably a good
You
idea.
want to?
Maybe.
Just to see what we burn.
Yeah.
Or what we need to maintain.
Right. Yeah. So it would give
It's
you what
probably
you need to
not a bad
maintain.
idea.
And then from there, you can make the calculations
Right.
personally. But also for the deficit, you wouldn't want to lose any more than about 1% of your body weight per week. So it's like if somebody weighs 100 pounds, they don't want to lose any faster than 1 pound a week.
Yeah.
Which is still pretty aggressive because a 100-pound person probably doesn't burn a lot of calories.
No. Yeah.
But if somebody's 200 pounds, they can lose 2 pounds a week and be just fine.
Yep.
But that's also technically a 1,000-calorie deficit.
Yep.
So, next on that for nutrition strategies, focusing on whole foods that are nutrient dense, like proteins, your whole grains, healthy fats, vegetables. Helps to fuel your body, keep you full, and then support the fat loss with it. Especially if you're moving from more processed foods, moving to more whole foods, you'll burn more calories as you eat those foods too. You'll feel more full and more satiated, and then it's better for your overall health of your body. So that also aids in the fat loss too.
Mm-hmm. The other things on here is like just lifestyle habits. So incorporating intentional daily movement, trying to move your body every day, and then sleep and stress are huge.
Yeah.
And I know you brought up like the importance of sleep and recovery, especially when you're trying to change body composition.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to touch on that a little bit too.
Yeah. So they did a study where they had people sleep for 8 hours a night. One group that was in a fat loss phase, and they had one group that was in a fat loss phase sleep for like 5 to 6 hours a night. And there was like a significant difference of the group that got 8 hours of sleep, they maintained or gained muscle and lost significantly more body fat. And then the group that didn't sleep as much, didn't lose as much body fat. Their body weight loss was about the same, but they lost a lot more lean muscle mass and lost less body fat. So that's where that can take you to that skinny fat,
Right.
where your body composition isn't actually changing as much. So sleep is huge. As long as you're getting between 7 and 9 hours of quality sleep, not time in bed, just actual sleep, then you can be staving off the negative effects of lack of sleep as far as like body composition goes. So if you're not sleeping enough, it's very underrated for helping with your body composition.
What kind of things is somebody going to notice from getting more hours of quality sleep? Just better recovery, probably hormonal balance is going to be better. I mean, there's a laundry list of things.
There's so many things. So poor sleep disrupts your hormones, like your hunger hormones. So leptin and ghrelin, that regulates your body's hunger signals and your cravings. And so there's also research that's been done, and if people got a insufficient amount of sleep, they would eat 500 more calories that next day to try and compensate. Because you're like, oh, I don't have as much energy, and so you're trying to take in more energy through food. That's one way of it. And two, if you don't get as much sleep, you're not able to manage stress, or you're not able to have that forward thinking of, hey, this doesn't align with my goals. You're like, I'm tired. I just want it now. Like, I want the sugar. I want that hit of that dopamine. I want that feel good.
Yep.
And so that's what leads to that. It's not good. But there's other, energy. Better energy means better workouts. Better energy means you're more likely to prepare meals for yourself rather than striving through fast food. There's so many choices that it affects throughout your day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even just like the sleep part, it's just your daily choices and what you're going to make. Like, it'll snowball into those.
It affects your behavior and your mindset, mental capacity, your focus.
And your mood, and how many people are stress eaters or they're like emotional eaters.
Emotional
right?
eaters, yeah, for sure. Yep.
Okay.
Very good stuff. All right, next would be the risks of focusing on weight loss alone. So we kind of already obviously touched on this a little bit, but like restrictive dieting, I talk about this with every client I meet with. Most of those fad diets, or if you're doing a restrictive diet, you might lose weight rapidly. Like Bethany mentioned, like if you're losing more than 1% of your weight a week, right?
Yep.
Then it's too fast to where you're going to be losing more muscle mass and more water, not just fat. And so the negative effects of that, it would be slower metabolism. You're way more likely to put that weight back on, especially if you're in a restrictive diet. Not only are you going to lose muscle mass and water, but you also probably feel like crap when you're not eating very much.
Yeah.
You're not going to have as much energy, that mental clarity. You're going to be in a worse mood. Like you're probably eating stuff that you don't want to. And so it's only a matter of time where people hit this wall of like, oh, I can't do it anymore. I need something. And then they go kind of back to their old habits and all the weight comes back on. That's typically how it goes. I mean, so many people have experienced that. Hormonal imbalances, like I was mentioning, hunger hormones, you already touched on that. Dieting without strength training. And I would also go to say, even if you are doing 10 to 20% deficit without strength training, you're going to be more likely to lose muscle mass than if you are strength training. So, but dieting without strength training, especially restrictive, there's actually studies that they've done already on people that have used Ozempic, and it was like 20 to 30% of the weight loss was muscle mass, which is super scary. So if somebody lost 50 pounds, to realize that 10 to 15 pounds of that is muscle is scary. So if somebody goes off of that drug or doesn't improve their nutrition with it, boom, they're going to be skyrocketing back up. And it just affects everything you do. I've talked to people that their strength like depletes. They can't do daily, household things as easy. So it's kind of scary to think about losing muscle mass that fast and how it affects your life. Leads to that skinny fat body composition. Obviously, we already touched on that. Decreases your metabolic rate, loss of strength and functionality, and then the emotional and mental impact as well is detrimental. But.
Okay. Talk about measuring progress.
Yep.
How do you measure progress, Lauren?
How do I measure progress?
Yeah, how do you measure your progress?
Oh, it depends what I'm measuring. Recently, I've been measuring my running progress, mostly by feel and just slowly increasing each week. I also keep track of my runs in my phone.
What, your core experiment?
Yeah, my core experiment. So we were talking about how I do too much core the other day. And so Bethany said that if you do a third of the volume of for that muscle, you're able to maintain the muscle that you have. So for my core, if I did a third of the amount of work in a week, I'll be able to maintain the muscle that I have. So I started doing that 2 weeks ago, and then I've just been kind of like keeping track of my strength, like how it feels and then how it looks, and really nothing's changed.
Yeah. Did you take any pictures?
Yeah, I haven't been consistent with it though. I've taken 3.
Okay. Yeah, so that's one thing for measuring progress the right way. Looking at body fat percentage using something like our InBody scan or taking pictures. Pictures is huge because really what we want is a physical change that's visual. That's what people are looking for when they come in. If the scale all of a sudden looks different, they don't care about the number on the scale. They care about, do I look different and do I feel better in my clothes? Yep. So you can do circumference measurements, noticing how your clothes feel and if they're fitting differently, if you can fit into old clothes that you couldn't fit into before, and then doing the progress photos at least once every 4 weeks would be perfect. It doesn't have to be anything faster than that. So that way every 4 weeks you can see, all right, am I having that good progress. It also allows you enough time to see significant progress. Weekly is almost too frequent, so
Yeah.
it's harder to see progress week to week. But monthly, you'll be able to see that.
I think you can journal too. I like writing things down.
How you feel.
Daily or weekly, yeah, how you feel.
I wish I would have done that over the years, because there are different stages and times where I either looked the best or performed the best. And I wish I was like documenting everything I was doing so that I could reflect back, be like, oh, I need to do this again. Here's what I was doing when I felt the absolute best. Like rating how you feel, your performance, all that kind of stuff. And then what you're doing as far as nutrition, training, supplements, that kind of stuff.
I was actually introduced to that idea in the book Green Lights. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
By Matthew McConaughey. And he's talking about how he journaled things down daily, what he was doing, his activities throughout the day, like his routine, I guess, in a way. And that way, like you said, he could look back, and if he's in a hard time, he can look back on what he was doing in his life, or how he was, what he was surrounding himself with, and what he was doing when he was having fun, or if he was happy, or you know what I mean, in a really good mood at that time, or how he got through different situations. And he talks about like the art of running downhill, when things are going really well, and you're kind of like, when's this gonna get messed up? You know what I mean? Like, it's too good to be true. It's a little off topic, but it was kind of a...
No, that's good.
mean,
Yeah, 'cause I wish I would have.
It's
Maybe
a
I
good
could
book.
start. Could always start.
You can
doing
read
it.
that book, and
Yeah,
yeah.
neat.
Talk about the InBody scan?
Sure. You want me to?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I said, do you want? Like, yeah, I got you.
Do you?
So, aside from pictures, sometimes we do measurements. We use the InBody to track our clients' progress, which is a comprehensive body analyzer. So you stand on the machine, uses a bioelectrical impedance. Don't know the science behind it, but anyways, we are able to see your skeletal muscle mass on there, your body fat percentage, your visceral fat, which is fat around your organs. So that way we can track month to month, or week to week, or quarterly, like your progress. Are you maintaining or building muscle? Are you dropping body fat or not? And then we can make adjustments to the program. So I love using that just because it takes the number on the scale kind of out of that equation when we're just having our clients focus on their muscle mass and body fat percentage, and obviously how they're feeling. So we always meet with our clients and we say, hey, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Is there anything you're running into as far as obstacles? Obviously, clothes fitting better, that kind of thing is a great tool. We always do pictures. Are they scheduled every week, or every other week, I believe, in most of our programs? Pictures?
I like doing number 4.
Every 4 weeks, yeah. I wanted to ask what your thoughts are, aside from what you mentioned earlier about tracking everything you're eating for a week or two and weighing yourself. What are your thoughts on doing just a scale weigh-in when you're trying to, change your body composition? Are you for or against it? Do you recommend doing it? Just weighing in?
Just weighing in as in, like, doing that daily?
Daily or at all, weekly, what do you recommend?
Well, it depends on the person. That's what I'll say. Some people, if they get very in their head about the scale, do it to find out your numbers, and then after that, forget about it.
Yeah.
Like maybe do it once a month or something like that, and then, or like with an InBody scan, or just do pictures. Do something else, like either just do pictures and don't even worry about the scale. If you're somebody where you're very objective about the scale, and hey, day to day, my scale weight can fluctuate, 2 to 3 pounds just from water weight. It doesn't mean that I'm gaining fat. Doesn't mean that I'm losing fat if I drop 3 pounds in a day. That could be water weight, right? So if you're able to be very objective about it, I see nothing wrong with weighing multiple times a week or every day, as long as it's not becoming obsessive, where you freak out if you miss, oh, I didn't weigh myself today, like, and then if the rest of your mood for the day is justified or affected by what that weight on the scale is, not recommended that you weigh yourself every day at that point, because that's not a healthy relationship with it. But that's my nuanced answer to that.
Yeah, I feel like there's just such a negative emotion attached to the scale. It's not even worth it at that point.
There's always an emotion attached, whether it's positive or negative. So if I went and stood on the scale, there's going to be an emotion regardless.
Yeah.
I'm either going to be above what I think it is or below what I think it is, and so there is still an emotion attached to that. Continue with what you were going to say, and then I'll say my point. But
I gotta remember now. Go ahead and say your point.
well, what I was going to say with, like, for example, if we were going to coach a client through, say, one of our 12-week transformations or a 6-week, we'll stick more to the 12-week transformation because there's a lot more mindset and behavioral change that goes into it. My recommendation would be to not even worry about the scale whatsoever. We'll do our 3 body scans, but just focusing on how you feel and doing the pictures like you were saying. We actually removed the weekly weigh-in from the tracker a couple months ago because we didn't want those people that probably more people than not, they are a little bit worried about the scale, and they do have that negative emotion when they do weigh in, and they can get obsessive about it or upset when they don't see it going down. And so I usually just recommend for most people, don't even worry about it at all. The only time you're worried about your weight is when we do this scan to review, because we want to be able to show the body composition change, and then just focusing on pictures alone. But
some people too, I think the only time they weigh themselves is after, like, when they know that they ate really bad. They're like, oh, let's see the damage.
like after Thanksgiving and Christmas.
So like they already know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're not that person that's like super adamant on checking your weight all the time, when you do weigh yourself, I feel like that's when most people weigh themselves.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be a negative.
Yeah, negative association.
Yeah.
So that's, you can also build to a point where you don't have that negative association anymore. Once you can get to that point.
Yeah.
But if you do have that negative association, just like take a break from it, focus on other wins, and then you can always go back to it, but work on being objective about it. Your initial reaction, we talked about this the other day, your first thought is programmed, and then your second thought is like what you're actually conscious of. So your first thought when you step on the scale, you might be disappointed because you're like, oh, I thought I was going to lose, it was going to be down today, but it's the same as like yesterday, or maybe it went up a little bit. But then your rational thought can come in and say, well, what did I eat yesterday? Oh, I had a little bit more sodium. Oh, I drank more water. I did a heavy workout, so there's probably some muscle damage and then water retention because of that. So it's probably just a pound of water. And so then once you can rationalize through it, it's not as effective on you.
Yep.
To be like, oh, darn, I'm getting fatter today.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's the thing is weight doesn't automatically mean fat. I mean, when people, so, I mean, we have so many clients that gain quite a lot of muscle in their first month to 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of insane, especially when you start strength training. So, yeah. To wrap this up, did you think of what you were going to say yet?
Yep, I said it.
Oh, okay. You did.
That was it, yeah.
All right, perfect. Just kind of a summary. Start focusing on fat loss and muscle gain, not just the scale. Strength training, balanced nutrition. We even talked about if you're eating healthy whole foods at least 50% of the time, that's going to be so much better and more sustainable than what most Americans are doing right now. And then building from there. But you also don't want to go too far the other way where you're like 90 to 100% super obsessive about what you're eating and what you're doing, because then there's some negative things that can happen with that. So I think we said, like, hey, 60 to 80% of the time, if you're on track, you're going to be just fine long term. And that's what I am. I mean, you guys know, like, I love cookies and donuts and blizzards and all this stuff, and I eat, that stuff quite frequently, once a week at least. So, but the other, I don't know, I probably have about 30 some meals a week.
Yeah.
I have about 4 or 5 meals a day, not 3. But so most of those are good, and then I have a little treat. So percentage wise, it's avoid restrictive dieting, focus on sustainable habits. Kind of like what we talked about last week. It's like focus on adding in things rather than taking stuff out. Use tools that track real progress. Take pictures, measurements like waist, hip, arm measurements, that kind of thing. We've got the InBody here that we use. So action steps, strength training, we recommend 3 days a week. That's kind of like the sweet spot for a lot of people. It's not so much to where it's really hard to commit to, but it's enough to where you're going to see, you're definitely going to see progress. Prioritizing protein-rich whole food diet, so make sure you're getting your protein in. You can use tracking methods like, track your food for a week or two. Track every single thing you eat and drink for a week or two and figure out what that baseline is. And reframe your goals from I want to lose weight or weight loss to getting stronger, getting healthier, getting fitter, that kind of thing. So just reframe your goal, because if your goal is weight loss, you're going to be focusing on the wrong thing. Right? Anything else?
Nope.
Just commit to small, consistent changes. That's going to lead to your long-term success. And the journey to a healthier and leaner you is not about chasing a lower number on the scale. It's about building that better version of yourself.
100%. Yep. And if you want to do a body scan, it takes like 5 minutes. You could schedule one of those. Just get a hold of us anytime, and we're pretty much here about 16 hours a day. So if you want to come in, we could do a body scan in about 5 minutes and show you where you're at, and then get you on the right track. So make sure you like and subscribe. Until next time, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon.